It is finally time to showcase the chess deck that so many of you have asked for. It's the #1 request since Teppen's new expansion by far, and I'm finally ready to show it to you. Now, a couple of disclaimers. I'm not going to be using all of the chess pieces individually in this deck because some of them are just not very good, but I did make the best of what they have to offer. So let's look at the deck. Right away, you'll notice Glorious Zero and Glorious Rakoha, which is 16 AP to deal an amount of spread damage among enemy units based on your memory counter. It is on the change list to get nerfed here in the next month, but for right now, in terms of this deck, it does serve for the best hero art that you can find. Now, there's other ways around it. You could tinker around with Tenkuha because this is a more unit-heavy deck than some other ones. It's a pretty close split, but for right now, Rakoha is the best bang for your buck. Let's take a look at the units. One thing I want to point out right away is that every unit present in this deck is of the Demon Tribe, and there are some synergy benefits that come with that, so keep that in mind. The first piece that I want to show you is the pawn. So we're running 3 of the Damned Pawn. He is a 3-cost 2/5, and after dealing damage to the enemy hero, this card either becomes a rook, a knight, or a bishop. So this is going to kind of force your opponent to make a decision. They're going to have to choose whether they're going to block this or ignore it. It requires an answer. Otherwise, it could give you a significant advantage. So let's showcase what we can get out of it. So one of the cards that we also run in the deck that you could get is the Rook. He's a 4-cost 1/4 demon with a shield. And at Memory 2, he also places either a pawn, a knight, or a bishop onto the field. Memory 2 is very easy to achieve, and you can get a ton of value out of this guy. And we're also running 3 copies of Rook in the deck. Now the other 2, the Knight and the Bishop, we aren't running those cards in our deck on their own. Now we can get them from pawn transformations and Rook flips, but it's going to, it's all about RNG, so you're not guaranteed to get them, but let's talk about what they can do if you do. The Knight is a 4-cost 3/4 rush, and Resonate, he gains flight for 1 attack. This could be really annoying. It can kind of sneak in there and deal some sneaky, subtle damage that eventually will add up. So the Knight on itself is not bad, but in my opinion, not good enough to run on his own. And the Bishop is the Resonate unit of the pack. He's a 4-cost 2/5 with Spillover, and when he resonates, he gives another friendly demon unit +2 HP. It's okay, it's not great, and it doesn't really work towards our win condition, so we don't really need him on his own. But those are the possibilities of what you can get from those transformations. The other unit that we are running from the chess set is the Queen, and she is quite good. She is a 5-cost 2/7 with agility, and whenever another friendly demon unit dies, that's +1/+2. And as I mentioned before, every unit in this deck is of the Demon Tribe, so you can do some really easy setups to get her buff pretty quickly. Now let's look at the actions that we have here in this deck. Foresight, you know what it does. It's 1 MP to fetch a card from your deck, put it in your EX pocket. It's really easy way to build up memory. A Splendid Buffet and Witch of the Abyss will allow you to deal some direct damage to a unit and also gain some life back from the lifesteal function. Witch of the Abyss deals more damage depending on if you have demons on the board. Ceasefire is there for guaranteed pawn transformations and just opening up your opponent's board to allow you to do enough damage to potentially finish them off. Demonic Intimidation allows you to bounce an opponent's unit back to their hand, potentially with good value for you. It's been a strong card ever since it came out. Unforeseen Interference is our negate. If you have Maverick's Memories, you could run this here as well. In fact, I would recommend it, but I don't, and I'm not particularly keen on crafting it right now, but if you do have it, it's worth running. Exposed Evil Eye is all about MP regeneration. It will put that on your hero, so it's not a situation like with the green units that have MP boost where they can get sealed. This is not the case. We also have Bulwark here, and I want to show him because you probably haven't seen him for a while. He's a 7-cost 4/7 unit from the Four Seekers. Now when he's played, he can explore for a Twin Familiar, but if he's ascended, that Twin Familiar goes on your field. And the Twin Familiar is a 5-cost 3/5 with rush and combo. So this can actually get really scary. You can get some really solid value out of this guy. Brainwash is here because it allows you to steal units. It's really, 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 really good. And the last card I want to touch on is the new legendary, and that is Nevin. I spoke briefly about her in the legendary crafting guide for Adventures of a Tiny Hero, but she's basically a super version of the legendary hunk that came out a long time ago. She synergizes very well with what this deck can do, having shield and spill over, and when units die, gaining more HP. And a lot of these chump change chess pieces will kick the bucket throughout the course of a match. So if you play her at the right time, she can be devastating. So this is the deck, and this is the QR code if you want to take it for a spin for yourself. And let's see how it does on the ranked ladder. The good old Raging Demon. Mono Black is just going to continue to get more popular, especially once the balance changes shake out. I'm a firm believer in that. We're going to keep this, and this could be risky. Having Rook in your opening hand is certainly something that you want to go for, especially if you have the means of building up that 2 memory quickly. And Foresight is going to put us in a position to go ahead and start doing that. And now we have this, and we're going to go ahead and use it because generally, at least with the Akuma style mono black decks, they're not going to have a whole lot to do on an empty board in terms of active response. So it is safer to do. Now you can see here that he dropped the gate and then the Junie. So we definitely made the right decision here. There's a couple of ways we could go about this. We're going to let that gate go ahead and cycle. And my plan now is for us to get some Rook value and some Nevin value, which is what we do. So he plays into a Jewel, who is super strong. I'm going to go ahead and attempt to put this back in his hand, which may not be a good decision now that I think about it, but he's going to go ahead and go about destroying it, which is okay. So what we'll do is we'll soften up this Junie a little bit. We'll gain some life back. He's closing in Raging Demon territory, but we are already to the point where we have enough memory for a Rakoha, but I'm not exactly itching to go ahead and use it. It's not really going to do us a ton of good. Now, in my mind, I would like to be able to save up to get a Bulwark transformation, but I don't think that we are going to be able to do that. So I am going to go ahead and use the first of our Rakohas here. Don't know how it's going to shake out in terms of the spread. It actually shook out okay. Can we get this in time? Yeah, we can. Perfect. All right, so that's some that's some good value. Now, I don't want to get too... Okay, that was actually really good. And I should have been expecting that because the Nevin became a big threat, and Alexia Ashford is a really dumb card that I am very surprised has not been nerfed yet. When she was unveiled, like everybody said, she's one of the best cards that's ever come about. I don't want you getting the gate back, so we'll negate that. He may have another one, and he does, because Hatred Reborn is just super good in terms of value. And the fact that he is getting Alfred, which means bigger body to soak up more damage, is not as great. I would like to be able to get the Queen down here. And now we'll go ahead and do this. Now, because this is a revenge-based deck, we are going to be in a bit of rough shape. It is close, but at the end of the day, I mean, his deck will be able to, you know, the longer it goes on, the better it's going to get. All right, since he's doing that, we're just going to do Ceasefire and say, no, sir. No, sir. That's actually great for us. That's fantastic. Yeah, that's quite good. So he will manage to get himself some life back, but he is not going to get anything from that spreading infection. So we're actually going to get some free damage here, which is just really good. I don't really want to do anything here because I don't want to give him any opportunities to get extra MP for destruct effects on my units. But we will drop another Queen, which would make it even more threatening, and he's going to go ahead and scoop. We take those, and that actually worked out quite well. So Ceasefire coming in handy there. this is something, you know, Wesker or Boros is something that's going to only become more popular. If you don't like mono black, I hate to break it to you, but I feel like there's going to be an absolute metric ton of it whenever we get to that point after the balance changes, because at least the way the list looks now, with most of the mono black resources not really being targeted, I feel like the deck is only going to get better. All right, so this could be one of two variations for Ouroboros. We will just have to see. It's either the self-mill or it's a little closer to, you know, kind of the standard that's been around for a little bit. We'll just have to see. Now, we are in a position where we can get some rook value. But before I do that, I would like to try and stack Nevin and the rook at the same time. We can take 6 from the Devil Joe. That's not a big deal. So we drop here, drop here. Now, depending on what this is, I do want to negate it, and I absolutely do, because Fate of the Unworthy is another card that is mysteriously absent from the balance changes list. Now, I don't necessarily want to go ahead and splash, because it's not going to be a ton of damage, but because we do have a board full of demons, we can get the most value we can out of Witch of the Abyss. So I am going to attempt to use that, and Reckless Brawl will allow him to fetch something. We can't negate that, nothing we can do about it, so we are going to let that go, and he does get another Joe. So this is more of a standard. This is not the self-mill variant that I was talking about. So the play that we're going to be looking to do here is to, well, I was going to go ahead and drop the queen, but now I'm not necessarily going to do that. I'm going to drop the queen up there, because if we need to soak this up. Alright, so there is some variations of the self-mill stuff that's going on. Alright, he's going to get another Devil Joe. You can see if we can do this, and drawing into Demonic Intimidation, we can put a jewel back in his hand if he gives us the opportunity. Yeah, we can't do anything about that. So I think the thing to do is to go ahead and put something in his pocket. So that is going to go ahead and remove that opportunity for him. Now, Splendid will get its maximum damage. So we're okay. This is definitely a scary matchup, but we're not necessarily in awful shape. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the queen. We've got ourselves into a Rakoha, so we're all right. We should be able to close this out. Hopefully with no problem. And we do. That's fantastic. That's how you take down mono black. I'll show you one more, whether it's a win or a loss. And oh my god, rank 23 player. Matchmaking so good. Thank you, Gung Ho. Oh man. I really love the part in that last update and maintenance where they were talking about making the matchmaking more tight. Oh man, it certainly worked out well, didn't it? Alright, so we're probably going to lose this one, but we'll stick it out anyway. We'll stick it out anyway. Ooh, that's different. Yo, that's unexpected. That is unexpected. Wow. D. I am super curious as to what this deck's going to bust out now. That's to be expected. Alright, we drew into a pawn. I don't think we're going to be able to get it dropped fast enough. And we don't have the memory count high enough yet, so we are going to go ahead and drop the pawn. He'll have to respond to it, or we will get some kind of transformation. Unfortunately, because this thing has Veil, this makes a lot of the actions in our hand useless. And now he is going about building up the memory train, as most zero players tend to do. So probably what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to put some pressure on here pretty quickly. In fact, just relying on the pawn transformation is probably not going to be enough. Yeah, probably, yeah, not going to be enough. Because now we're in a situation where there's really not a whole lot that we can do here. So, unfortunately, I am going to go ahead and drop the rook on its own. Don't realize how much of... D really poops on what my deck is trying to do. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do this because we have to put pressure on. Okay, now D is out of the way. We're getting close to a Rakoha, but the issue is our memory is doo-doo garbage. It's nowhere because we haven't had anything to target yet. Oh, there he is. I was wondering when he would show up. All right, so we're gonna have to get rid of that V. He's a problem. Now, luckily for us, he didn't trigger into a nightmare. He didn't trigger into a nightmare either time. So we do need to go ahead and we need to get rid of this V. And then because we should have memory 4, we can go ahead and drop a Rakoha, but I'm fully expecting a Rakoha to come out from his side as well. Just going to depend on who's faster. I'm faster. Which is normally not the case. Not a great splash. Really not. And we're going to lose our value, and now we're behind on MP. So that's not great. Man, that D really hurt. Okay, so trying to think of the best way to go about this. I don't want to steal it. Double queen might be the way to go. I can take another 2 and it's not a big deal. So I think double queen is the way to go. Does he have anything in pocket? No. If he doesn't have anything in pocket, it's not worth doing. He's capped on MP. So I would like to have this if we can get it. It may not happen. He may have Maverick's memories in hand to negate. Oh, he's got the ceasefire. And there is not a thing we can do about that. That's actually a really good counter. No wonder this guy's ranked 20. So yeah, that actually really sucks. I'm pretty sure we're going to lose this one. Wow, the D-Tech. The D-Tech, that is super interesting, but totally worth playing out this match just so I can experience. Yeah, this is totally over. I'm just gonna let it rock. Gung-ho matchmaking at its finest. an almost 500 point rank difference, and yet the game thinks that that's similar skill level. I'm not that good. Come on, Gung-ho, don't inflate my ego like that. So that's chess. I hope you enjoyed it. It was the #1 request, and you guys know me. I'm all about trying to fulfill requests from you guys. Another one has been the Ouroboros Infinite Revive Cami deck that so many people love to hate, myself included. I'll see if I can work that in sometime this weekend. But until then, I love you guys. Stay safe out there. Wear your mask, and I'll see you next time.